Hi there, my name is Caitlin Bandy and this is my channel BandysBooks, and today Luna and I are here to talk to you about what's on my Netgalley shelf. So if this is your first time joining for this segment, this is a video in which I talk about my Netgalley statistics and then 5 new releases that are coming up in the next few months that I'm kind of excited about. So let's get into the statistics first. Let me tell you what my feedback ratio is, how I'm doing in terms of catching up on all of my galleys and things like that. So my current feedback ratio is 63%. That is not as good as it could be, but it's also not as bad as it was. Ideally on Netgalley, you want to have about an 80% feedback ratio to ensure that you get approved for all of the ARCs that you request. A lot of the really big name publishers will not give you ARCs if you don't have at least an 80%. What happens typically to a lot of people on Netgalley is that you go on a requesting spree, you request a bunch of ARCs that you're excited about, and you think you're only gonna get like 10 or 20% of them approved, but instead you get all of them approved and you end up like me with like a 40% approval ratio and a huge pile of galleys to get. So this translates to about 122 reviewed galleys out of 194. So I have about 72 galleys that are awaiting feedback. Of those galleys awaiting feedback, I think I have about 5 of them that I've completed that are ready to be reviewed, and I just need to sit down and write the reviews. I also have, I think, another 10 or 15 of them in plans for like the next month. Of those 72 galleys that are awaiting feedback, I have 18 of them that are audiobooks. I also have 3 of them that are cookbooks. I don't request all of the cookbooks that I find on Netgalley, but I do try to get 1 or 2 a month just because it's interesting to me to see what is coming out in the cookbook publishing world. Also, I should note that of those 72 galleys that I have that are awaiting feedback, a bunch of them are not publishing until 2024. In terms of books that are publishing within November and December, I think I only have like 4 or 5 galleys. So I'm actually pretty much caught up with everything that is gonna be releasing very soon. So now I'll just be working on making sure that I stay caught up going into 2024. And 5 of the books that I am looking forward to reading. First up, I have Above the Salt by Katherine. This currently has a 4.72 and about 36 ratings on Goodreads so far. I have this in an audiobook format and I'm really looking forward to listening to it. This book follows John Alves, the son of a Presbyterian martyr on the island of Madeira in Portugal. John spends his childhood in poverty and jail. When he meets Mari Frietas, the adopted daughter of a master botanist whose true lineage is subject to dangerous rumor. As the conflict between Protestants and Catholics turns to war, the two of them flee and are separated in the process. Years later, John has settled in Jacksonville, Florida, into a job at a school for the deaf. Mary is in Springfield and she's working as a gardener for the handsome and wealthy Edward Moore. A chance meeting between John and Mary reignites their old sparks, but their world is complicated and their romance is impeded by war, business conflicts, and more. So this book sounds really interesting to me. I love that it's set in Portugal initially. I think it's really interesting that it talks about the conflict between Protestants and Catholics, but it's not set in Ireland because typically that's where I see that specific conflict taking. I love that it covers immigration, and I love that we have these 2 people who fall in love with each other and are separated by their circumstances, and I'm curious to see how they meet each other again and what life is like after they've both lived so much and been through so much. Then we have The Storm We Made by Vanessa. This currently has a 4.34 and 123 ratings on Goodreads so far. This book is set in Malaya in 1945. Cecily Alcantara's family is in terrible danger. Her 15-year-old son, Abel, has disappeared. Her youngest daughter, Jasmine, is hidden in the basement to keep her from being forced into service in the comfort stations that serve Japanese soldiers. Her eldest daughter, Jujubee, grows angrier by the day as she works in a tea house that serves drunken Japanese soldiers. Cecily knows 2 things. This is all her fault, and that her family must never learn the truth. So this book sounds really interesting to me because it's about World War II, but somehow Cecily feels that this whole situation is her fault. I understand that she is responsible for moving her family to Malaya, but I don't understand how World War II could possibly be her fault. I think this family dynamic of everybody in these really stressful situations is going to be really interesting to explore. We have 3 different women who are all in very precarious situations dealing with soldiers, and we have a missing son. I just think that this is going to be a really powerful and moving book, and I'm really interested in reading it. Then we have The Djinn Waits 100 Years by Shubnum. This currently has a 4.11 and 61 ratings on Goodreads so far. Akbar Manzil was once a great estate off of the coast of South Africa. That is until Sana. She and her father are seeking a new home after a painful loss. Sana is drawn into the mysteries of the mansion and eventually discovers a locked door that hides a bedroom which is frozen in time. It belonged to the second wife of the first owner, who died a century prior. Hidden in the shadows of the room is a Djinn who's been grieving her loss ever since. So I'm really interested in this book for a multitude of reasons. I love books that incorporate Middle Eastern folklore and Middle Eastern folklore. I love that this is set off of the coast of South Africa. I think that's a really unique setting. I love that Sana is coming from a place of experiencing loss, and so she's going to be probably somewhat empathetic and understanding of this Djinn who has lost the woman that he loved. I think this has an element of fantasy, an element of mystery, an element of romance. There's a lot going on that sounds really appealing. Then I have a book called Womb City by Tlotlo Tsamaase. This currently has a 3.91 and it has 65 ratings on Goodreads so far. This book is set far in the future in Botswana. Nella seems to have it all: wealth, fame, a husband, and a child on the way. But her husband controls her body via microchip, and her marriage is in a loveless tailspin. Her hopes and dreams come to an end after a drug-fueled night of celebration ends in a hit and run. To dodge a sentencing in a community that favors men, Neela and her side piece, Janet, finish off the job and bury the body. As her victim's vengeful ghost begins exacting a bloody revenge, Neela must unravel her society's terrible secrets and stop those in power, and become a monster unlike any other to quench the ghost's thirst. So this book sounds really interesting to me. It is a dystopian fic, but it seems to have some horror elements mixed in. I love that this is set in Botswana. I'm curious to see what a futuristic Botswana looks like. I am also really interested in how this accidental hit and run translates into revenge against the government. I also am really interested in the social aspects of things. We have a woman whose body is being controlled via microchip by her husband. I think that that has some really interesting and potentially powerful messaging around it. So I'm really curious to see where this story goes. I am not sure that I have a really good grasp of it based on the summary. And the final book on my Netgalley shelf that I am really excited about at the moment is Piglet by Lottie Hazel. This currently has a 4.00 and 136 ratings on Goodreads so far. Besides her nickname, Piglet is pretty happy with how her life has turned out. She's an up-and-coming cookbook editor at a London publishing house. She has loyal friends and a handsome fiance named Kit. When Kit confesses a betrayal to Piglet 2 weeks before their wedding, she finds herself hungry. They decide to go ahead with the wedding, but as the pressure increases and the wedding date nears, Piglet finds herself completely undone. So the reason I'm super excited about this book is because I think that this is going to explore how we use food for comfort. As a chef, I definitely cook my favorite foods when I am feeling down or stressed out. Food is something that is extremely comforting, and while I try to hold a good relationship with food, I'm not always successful with that. And I think this book is going to kind of delve into that and the pressures of society and the pressures of like this perfect marriage and this beautiful life that Piglet has put together, and like potential of it crumbling. I'm really interested in that. I also really love that she is a cookbook editor. I'm super interested in this aspect of her life. I know a little bit about cookbook editing, but not as much as I would like, and not as much as I probably should, considering that I cook for a living. I think this sounds like it could be a mix of really quirky and funny, but also like dark, depressing, emotional, realistic. I just think that there's a lot of potentially really good elements to this story. So those are the 5 books on my Netgalley shelf that I am really looking forward to at the moment. I am hoping to read them over the next couple months. So pay attention for some reviews coming out soon. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, comment down below and let me know, do you use Netgalley at all? If so, do you have any books that you're really looking forward to? And if not, do you read ARCs at all? If you could get one ARC for a book that's coming up in the next few months, which one would you get? And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And that way we can see each other again soon. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.